Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Who's in the middle? So I was, what? I was low-key thinking though, just because when they do sit in the middle, now their head's on a swivel and they're moving back and forth to answer our questions. It's my opinion that they're on one side and we're on two, but it's up to you guys.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, you want to sit in the middle? You want to sit here?
You're the star of the show.
Not me, you.
No, no,
I'm trying to be.
no, no.
And so, how many minutes with Chow? Simon, 5?
5? That's rookie numbers.
Yep. All right. Welcome to Alliance's live stream, post-demo day. This is an inside view of how we process our demo day, what the founders are doing, and the quality of teams that are building within crypto, fintech, and AI. Today we have one of the founders of Alliance, Chow, and then also the infamous Leap. If you want to give a quick intro about yourself.
I don't know how infamous I am, but it's good to be here. This is my first time kind of seeing this stuff behind the scenes, and yeah, I get it. It's exciting.
Cool. Chow, you just presented to over 100 investors. What were some of the insights you've learned over the past demo, the past batch, and where do you think crypto goes from here?
So in general, this is like related to startups, not crypto specifically, but there was a major inflection point in around January, maybe December last year. And for those who have been following AI, you probably have guessed it, it's Cloud Code and Codex. And so every batch, I ask founders, hey, what is the productivity improvement you've experienced since ChatGPT 3 years ago? And so that number, I calculated the median every batch. That number last batch was 4x. Okay, it sounds really high. But the median for the current batch is 10x. And that happened within a span of just a few months. And so personally, I'm not surprised at all because I've been using those tools as well. I would say that number, that one order of magnitude improvement compared to like 3 years ago is completely, for me, it's like within the realm of reasonableness. And so as a result, what we're seeing is that startups across sectors are growing much bigger, much faster. And so like in most cohorts over the last like 5 cohorts, we've had at least one startup that went from 0 to 8 or even 9 figures in revenue within 6 months. So it's revenues, 8 or 9 figures in revenue, not valuation, within 6 months of company formation. And it's really crazy. Like, yeah, like on the internet you see like, stats of like, ChatGPT or OpenAI and Anthropic growing really fast, right? Like fastest growing companies in history. And we're seeing something very similar in our startups compared to like 10 years ago, for example. So it's the most notable trend.
Do you feel the inception of these tools, all these different coding tools, ChatGPT, Claude, has this increased the diversity in the terms of startups that are applying to Alliance, or do you think it funnels them into one specific box? What have you been seeing?
There's definitely more diversity of types of startups over the last few batches. I mean, we started as crypto fintech, and we're still getting a lot of those startups, but we're seeing a lot more, startups building another startups as AI startup or crypto startup, because every startup is going to use AI. Every startup is using AI as their productivity tool, as their go-to-market, and they have like AI features here and there within their product, right? Like every startup is an AI startup, and a lot of startups are also crypto startups because they use crypto under the hood. So I think in terms of not the underlying technology, but the sector they operate in, if that makes sense.
I also feel as if crypto was its own thing for probably a decade. And what people are starting to see now is crypto is being absorbed by the broader tech market. And what that means is you're not going to, as Chow just mentioned, we're not going to just see crypto-only startups. We're going to see startups that are going to implement crypto. They're going to implement. What's happening here is we are maturing as a sector. We're being absorbed by the broader tech market. We're going to start to see more general VCs. They're going to enter the space. And more interestingly speaking, we're going to start to see a lot of the crypto startups that are going to attack other verticals as well. And a lot of the crypto-focused niches are probably going to either graduate to this, or they're going to start to slowly pivot out or shut down. What are your, okay, so we talked a bit about, the broader tech market. We talked about the quality of founders that are applying at Alliance. What are some interesting trends that you're seeing within our batch over the course of, say, the past 2 batches? And where do you think Alliance and the batches go moving forward?
I mean, the current batch is in a way similar to the last one. Is there's a lot of stablecoin enabled companies. There's a lot of tokenization, which is like an extension of stable, because stablecoin itself is tokenization. Sure. Tokenizing all sorts of early stage startups. There's one startup in the current batch, for example, they tokenize early stage, or not early stage, but pre-IPO stocks, right? Like they put their illiquid companies and turn it into something more liquid, tradable liquid tokens on chain. And like it's just extreme product market fit because you can't buy Anthropic or OpenAI shares in the secondary market, but you can easily buy those on, like, let's say Jupiter, right? So tokenization is a big area, and then I mean those are some of the biggest trends. And I think next batch we're going to see probably something similar. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you seeing a distinction between, when things were solely crypto focused, we saw consumer, we saw retail, we saw trader, institutional, different tools for all of these different parts. Are we seeing that same distinction going forward now that everything's being combined, AI, agentic, this, that, and the third?
Yeah, I mean, so there's another startup, for example, in the current batch. They their product is one where it's like a Twitter feed, but every tweet in the feed is gives you an actionable trading idea. So, for example, let's say Trump, tweets about Iran, and then that's the tweet, right? And then under the hood, it says long oil, right? That's how
So that could be retail or institutional, or anybody who would want to use it.
That's retail or institution. Okay. But also, this specific product, if you think about it, it's turning a tweet into a tradable idea. That is AI inference. Like you call Anthropic API to turn a piece of information into an actionable idea, right? That's AI. But then when you actually execute the trade, well, how do you do this in an easy and permissionless way? Well, you're going to trade hyperliquid futures or perpetual swaps, right, under the hood. And so this product is both an AI and crypto company. Like this product is AI and crypto enabled. So it's like everything is coming together. If that makes sense.
Is it going to get too expensive for the normal person to start building with these tools? Right now, everything we see on X is basically dive in, it's the best time to build, it's the best time to ship. It's not incredibly expensive, a couple $200 subscriptions here and there, OpenClaw, whatever it might be. Is that price going to continue to go up as these tools become more in demand?
If I had to guess, I was just listening to Dylan Patel, yes, the founder of Semi-Analysis, on the other Patel, Dorkesh podcast. And he said, he actually said, yes, the price will go up. And the reason is right now there's far more demand than supply of intelligence. So the supply of intelligence is actually being bottlenecked. He thinks in 5 years, the main bottleneck is going to be ASML, which is the EUV machine that is used to produce those chips. But today, right now, like within the next year, my understanding is the bottleneck is TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. And it's the actual chips that's the bottleneck today. And the reason is because the suppliers of chips, they're extremely conservative. They don't want to overbuild because they've overbuilt in the past and then they overbuild and then lost a lot of money. So they're extremely conservative. Supply is limited. At the same time, everyone has seen the power of AI coding tools and AI agents. So everyone is trying to use these tools. So demand is way up. So demand right now is far greater than supply. And so Anthropic and OpenAI, they have no choice but to jack up the price because they have to curb the demand
So what is
while also making some money.
What is the extent? I mean, are these $200 a month Max Pro subscriptions? Does that go to 600, 1,000? I mean, where does it go?
I have no idea. I have no idea how they're going to price it, but I think it's going to go up because right now the $200 max plan on Anthropic for Claude is heavily VC subsidized.
Yes.
So that $200 per month worth of subscription, I've seen some analysis of it. It's actually worth 1 or 2 orders of magnitude higher in terms of actual compute cost. So like it's actually $2,000 or if not $20,000 worth of compute.
Which
value.
makes it even more impressive. I mean, I think they just gave it away for 2 weeks, or what was they posted something recently where it's free for certain days. So these companies are just subsidizing. It's a loss leader.
Yeah. So price is going to go up, I think.
Similar to Uber, right? When Uber first launched.
Exactly. Like you remember like how cheap
it
Uber was like back in the
Yeah,
day.
I didn't even drive my car because it was so cheap because I would do the free credits, referral scam, and
Yeah. And once you've built a consumer habit,
Yes.
it's hard to switch from Uber
Exactly.
to something else.
100%.
And now like Anthropic, OpenAI, they're fighting this war of getting or creating this consumer habit.
Yeah. Right now, I'm definitely between OpenAI and Claude. I go between the two quite often. All right, I think, go ahead. I think we're up for time. We have a founder coming in, but last question, and I think we get this quite often. Where are we in the market? Up only? Are we at the bottom?
If I had to guess, 60K was the cycle bottom,
Okay.
but I'm maybe 60 to 70% sure that was the bottom.
Yeah.
Like if S&P goes down like 30%, then we're gonna go below 60. But if S&P is
Holding up pretty well.
yeah, if S&P is holding up pretty well, despite the war and all that stuff, then I would say 60K was the bottom.
Up only or dead cat bounce?
Up only.
All right, we're going to bring on our next founder. Thank you, Chao. Sebastian, representing Alad.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. Sebastian, tell me a bit about what you're building and what's your one-liner of what you're building.
Yeah, so we're building a stablecoin account for enterprise businesses that is super easy to use, and it's meant to replace their business bank accounts.
And why this idea over any other idea? Maybe talk a bit about your background. Like, how did you, maybe start with like what you did before and like how did you approach this idea?
Yeah, I grew up in Latin America, so I'm familiar with the problems of businesses in that region, and I came to the States to study CS at Berkeley, and then I've been in the stablecoin space, mostly building around the UX of stablecoins since 2017. My latest project was Fei Labs, which launched a decentralized stablecoin that raised over $1.2 billion and became a top 10 stable by market cap.
So you identified this problem because you've been working in the stablecoin space. What is the plan to, in a space that is so competitive with stablecoins, how do you plan to kind of attack and what is the vertical there?
Yeah, so it's true that it's a competitive space, but the reality is that specifically for enterprises in emerging markets, there isn't a really good solution for them to onboard onto stablecoins and get that instant settlement that they're looking for. The core problem is that these enterprises, when they're trying to move, they rely heavily on USD rails to do international trade and also to buy goods and services in the United States. But they face compliance-related delays that us people in America wouldn't really imagine. Sometimes it takes weeks for them to move their money, and the frequency with which they have to provide documentation for each payment is extremely high. So they need a solution that that gives them a lot more control and reliability over their payments. And when you look at the space in detail, we can go into some more detail into what the companies that are doing in the space are doing. But when you go into detail, there really isn't an easy-to-use, custodied stablecoin account that they can use to move their money quickly. that looks and feels like a first-in-class business bank account. You have all sorts of like infrastructure providers like Anchorage and Fireblocks, but those are like configurable treasury and crypto operations, not like the day-to-day banking that these companies actually need.
So you find this to be, I mean, in terms of the difficulty in building this, is it more on the technical side or is it more on the regulatory side and navigating that environment?
Yeah, so I think the core insight is really understanding the market that I'm going to attack. And really, I'm riding a wave of technical developments over the last three or 4 years that are allowing this UX to be really as simple as using a normal bank account or any other online service that handles money. More than it is doing a big technical breakthrough. So really, it's about product vision and packaging the right features to make to really address a problem that not a lot of people are actually thinking about.
What are your thoughts on the MasterCard acquisition of that stablecoin startup, BVNK?
Yeah, it's very.
Does it excite you? Are you terrified? What do you think?
It's very exciting. I mean, I've been in, like I said, I've been in the stablecoin space for a while, and I continue to be amazed at how fast things are moving and how fast the infrastructure is being adopted. And now that we have a friendlier regulatory environment in the U.S., like that regulatory clarity is going to come soon, and that's going to be an explosion in our space. Like right now, stablecoin volumes are up 8x year over year.
Yeah,
which is a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sebastian.
Of course. Great to be here. Thank you.
Next up, we have Larry from Predexon. They're building a unified API for prediction markets.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. How are you feeling about Demo Day?
It was great. Honestly, I'm a first-time founder, so it's my first demo day, and I think you just gotta be confident and speak, and it felt pretty good afterwards.
Yeah.
Definitely a little stressful at the beginning. Yeah.
All right, Larry, what is the one-liner for the unified API for prediction markets? What does that mean?
Well, that basically means that we are doing all the dirty work of handling the infrastructure for every single venue. There's a lot of venues currently, Hyperliquid, Polymarket, Kalshi, and many, many more on the BNB chain. We're basically integrating them, doing all the dirty integration work behind the scene for you, so we expose a simple integration layer for anybody who want to integrate these major prediction markets.
And in terms of the target user for this type of product, how do you envision that?
We envision to be many different people. Currently, I would say we're more focused on individual traders, builders, even people just building on single venue. They really like our service because we have better data, we have better, easier to use developer suite. But we think that in the future, it could also be businesses, enterprises, it could be even agents. You know, we're integrated with X402 protocol. We think that there could be many, many interesting things in the future that could happen. Basically, anybody who wants a smoother developer experience when building on prediction market, that will be our target demographics. So.
Do you feel like the prediction market space is overhyped, underhyped, neutral? Where do you see it today?
That's a great question. I feel like maybe neutral. I would say I think it's like it's definitely not. I think it's overhyped within certain group of people, but also I think the general mass public still don't really understand what it really is. You know, it's hyped in the sense that a lot of people realize its true potential and they're talking about it.
Yeah.
But that message isn't getting through to the general public. You know, if I'm a average college kid today, I would just be using Kalshi to sports bet. You know, I don't treat it as really a serious financial instrument in the most cases. But fundamentally, I think it has the potential to be that. Okay. And that point is recognized. It's not overlooked, but it's just not to the mass public, I feel like. And you can see the adoption. You know, prediction market last year did maybe $63 billion. You know, compared to perps, compared to stock exchange, it's far less. You know, they're in the trillions of volumes. So I think it's underlooked in terms of the consensus, maybe. Yeah.
In terms of the existing prediction markets, how do they feel about a product like yours where you do connect the rails across all of these different platforms? Do they feel it's a vamp? How do they think about it?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's also a question that we basically had to figure out. I think it's really a beneficial relationship. I think we see it as we bring distribution to them, and that's good for them. You know, they want deeper books, they want better liquidity, and we're basically making it easier to integrate them. And I think this is definitely a beneficial relationship. This is not adversarial, and we are working on partnership with the venues. I won't disclose too much, but we're moving on that. Yeah.
You know, obviously everyone's APIs, you think prediction market terminals, I don't know, consumer apps. Is that the market you're going after, or are there other markets that people haven't conceived of yet, which is, maybe your secret sauce? What's the secret sauce?
I think, there's markets that are overlooked. I think right now it's very consumer. But that is because that's the market today. Most of the users prediction market are consumer.
Yeah.
There's less institution going in, but we think in the future of prediction market, it will be business as an institution. There will be
Cool.
There will be a big player in the field. I think that potentially is somebody who's overlooking, but that's also due to if you want to capture the customer today, you gotta go for the consumers because most people are consumers, right?
Yep.
So yeah.
Cool. And how can people find you?
Oh,
What's your Twitter handle? Predexon's Twitter handle?
people can find me. Twitter handle is Predexon Intern. It's a classic one, but Predexon Intern on Twitter, and our Twitter handle is Predexon. So,
All right. Well, Larry, thank you so much for your time.
great to be on. Thank you guys.
Yep. Next we have is Jensen Krebit. Larry?
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Good. Very excited.
How do you feel with the investors, after demo day, like after your first pitch? Did investors come up to you? How do you feel?
Yeah, it's been really amazing talking to some investors. We're really excited to keep on growing and start partnering with universities, so it's been great.
So maybe give us your one-liner of what you're building.
So we're building stablecoin payments for international students. Right now, international students are sending over $200 billion each year in international payments. But currently, they're forced to rely on slow SWIFT transfers with huge cross-border payment markups. And we're really trying to solve that using stablecoin technology to make these payments faster, cheaper, and easier than ever.
Why is now the time for credit?
Well, firstly, the Genius Act has been huge. Universities, credit unions, they're slower movers. They need regulation backing up this technology. And now that we have the Genius Act showing USDC stablecoins, they're one-to-one pegged to the US dollar, these institutions can start to treat them as real assets that match the US dollar, not these trades or commodities, so they're more willing to get started with them.
And why you guys specifically? How did you come to feeling that, hey, I think we can solve this problem?
Yeah, so I do a lot of hackathons. I love competing all over the nation in these types of coding
You're
competitions.
top 50, right?
Yes, I'm one of the top 50 hackers in the world.
Globally, yeah.
Yes. So throughout those, that's when I started working with the blockchain and stablecoins. And Simi and I, we were both university students. We had tons of international friends who were always complaining about the exchange rate, how much they had to pay to send their funds over. And we really connected the dots. The stablecoin technology is amazing, and no one was applying it toward this space of international students. So that's really what we're trying to do with Crebit.
How did you, crypto has a very unique viewpoint, and there's a certain demographic of people that want to build for crypto. How you mentioned a bit about blockchain and stablecoin. How did you find out about stablecoins, and then maybe the ideation phase to Crebit?
Yeah, so two of the hackathons where I first started building with blockchain was this Live AI hackathon at Harvard and this Harvard blockchain hackathon. That's where I really got into it. I started building different blockchain solutions. I learned more about building FX platforms. I built a secondary lending platform on the blockchain for credit unions and got to go present it at this huge credit union conference. And that's where I was like, wow, credit unions, blockchain, it's just such a cool and exciting space to be building in. And it's really amazing to see these institutions start to embrace this new technology.
So you launched a few months ago.
Yes.
And you're growing 100% month over month. Was that right?
Yeah, right now we're at 40% month over month with
40% month over
consumers,
month.
and then we're going live with some universities next year on the payment portal. So that's going to be huge.
How are you dealing with the demand? Because it seems like demand is outweighing your current capacity. So I'm curious as to when you launched, did you expect that much demand? Did you expect that the quality of problem that you're solving is going to really resonate with the very core group of users?
Yeah, we've had a huge amount of demand, especially from these credit unions, university portals, and all of them require specialized core integrations.
Yeah.
So we definitely are looking to hire and really expand our coding team. That's what we're hoping to do with this fundraise, to be able to go full force, finalizing all these integrations with as many schools as possible over the summer, so we can be processing huge amounts of volume next year.
Cool. Well, Justin, how could people find out about Crebit?
You can always go to creditpay.com. And you can easily sign up for a call with Simi or I on the website. That's my co-founder. And we were really looking for more software engineers. If you're interested in building in the crypto blockchain space, we would love to have you on our team. Or if you're a university, credit union, or other institution that needs a payment portal for internationals, don't hesitate to get in touch.
Jensen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Leave the mic here. Next we have is Pat, founder of Graded. On-chain StockX. Can you explain what on-chain StockX means?
Yeah, absolutely. So on-chain StockX is essentially a vault, and we allow people to easily use their portfolio's value and their collectibles to be able to do transactions, right? So we allow people to use that existing liquidity they have today in their collectibles to do whatever they want, right? Buy and trade any cards or collectibles they wish.
I mean, the collectible space is just going insane. I mean, One Piece cards, Pokemon cards. Are you guys thinking about these specific markets individually, or are you thinking more shoes? How are you guys thinking about it?
Right now, we're specifically only focused on cards. And from there, I think we can branch out to other niches, right? The card market is definitely really hot. It's also something that I'm personally involved in and understand. So I think starting there and expanding to other niche collectibles upon like users actually wanting them, of course, is our plan currently.
Is this, why you guys specifically? Like, how I get you mentioned that you were interested in cards yourself, but how did you guys get to this?
So in my past, I built a fairly successful crypto product for non-crypto people. For a while, I kind of went down this path of I want to build crypto products for crypto people, and I really realized that that's kind of my niche, is building crypto products for non-crypto folks. And there's clear value add to tokenization in this market, and that's what really led me to Graded, was trying to combine two things that I actually loved and enjoyed to solve a real problem for existing people.
So, I mean, there's so many aggregators / tokenized card. I mean, you have Courtyard, you have Collector Crypt, you have Fidgetals. Where do you fit?
So all of these tokenized collectible issuers they exist today, but they're permissionless. So we are the aggregator that is specifically focused on trades. And I think that is what users actually want right now. There's a ton of availability of packs online and other services related to collectibles, but there's really no smooth and coherent way to do trades.
Can you break down what that means, trades?
Yeah, so trading is today done peer-to-peer, mostly on Instagram. That's where the card hobby primarily.
That's where you started, right?
That is where I started, yeah. So you can follow me online on Instagram, alt_investor. Check out some card content from me. But generally, right, people are using Instagram and really inferior apps that it's just easy to get scammed and settlement takes forever. So just focusing on unifying that liquidity into a single app specifically focused on trades so people can use that, their existing portfolio's value to swap into cards that they actually want. That is a trade. Similar to how Uniswap, you can trade between two different tokens.
How are you guys going after these users? Is it just manual reaching out on Instagram? How do you guys think about that?
Right now, primarily, we're working with dealers across America who have high-value cards, and there are users that want to trade into these cards. That is our focus right now, is working with high-end dealers to have availability and high selection, on top of working with these existing tokenized providers, of course. But we're getting this good inventory, and essentially people are just trading into it. And there's a ton of people that really want to trade up. So that's what we're doing. We're specializing in that focus.
When you first launched, I remember this was a month ago, and your first week you did $300 in volume.
Yes.
Where are you? What does that look week over week, and where are you at today?
Yeah, I think, so right now we're at just above 100% week over week volume growth. It's showing clearly that users actually want this, and I think we're really the only application that's specifically focused on solving this problem for them. So I'd imagine volume to continue to grow organically.
What I like about your platform is, like, I tried buying One Piece cards using crypto, and everything was, like, every card, when I check it with the other, like, Web2 aggregators or marketplaces, there's, like, a 50% markup, 50% to 100% markup, and I'm like, this is insane. So what I like about what you're uniquely doing is you're bringing more price clarity to the crypto markets, which is otherwise unavailable right now. And I think that's part of the crux of where the volume's coming from, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Again, it leads back to selection, availability, and inventory. You know, we want to build the best available selection for our users.
Yeah.
So we think by taking this aggregation approach, using existing tokenization partners, but also allowing existing collectors who have a portfolio off-chain to enable them to list it and work with our existing exchange is really going to allow people like yourself to get the deals that they want at affordable prices as fast as possible.
Cool. I think we came to this problem because I was trying to buy One Piece cards. There was no way to buy One Piece cards using crypto. Cool. How can people find you?
You can check us out at graded.world and start making some trades today.
Cool. Thank you. Next we have is Nick from a startup called Couch.
Hi guys.
How you feeling?
Good, good.
Maybe give us a one-liner on what you're building.
Yeah, we're building an AI companion for like a visually impaired. So it's kind of like people that kind of like a vision loss to help them navigate the web.
How did you get to? I mean, there's a ton of AI companions. It's a a space people are building in. How did you decide on this one specific lane?
Yeah, great question. It's like, well, simply like it was like seeing my wife. My wife is like, have like a degenerative eye disease, and so she's kind of like losing her sight. And so seeing her kind of like training to use screen readers, I saw kind of like how complicated they are. It's kind of like, it's like technology that's like 30 years old. It's like they're screen readers, literally. They read everything. And so it's understanding what you can do on a page, it's get complicated. It takes minutes. Imagine it's like, imagine a room that's like, completely dark, and you go inside and you say, chair, bed, but you don't know what's the room and what you can do. So it's like, we're doing a visual and a semantic analysis of the website. We surface the actions that they can take. Like, hey, you can exit here, or you can do this, more than what exactly the button or the link.
And then it translates that with audio.
Yes. Yes, that's what it's like. We interface to the screen reader. Screen readers take years to kind of like master and use, and so the target that we're starting with, like it was from the experience with my wife, it's people that's like lose their sights kind of like later in the year, in their life. So it's like they don't burn with like let's say blind. And that is kind of like, it's a target where it's very harder to kind of like learn and use like, screen readers. And because of aging population, it's like a market that is like continuously expanding, and it's going to be a bigger and bigger target.
And how do you guys handle growth? I mean, is there a network that maybe you're exposed to through your wife, different support groups? Is that how you're doing outreach? How do you guys think about that?
Yeah, there's like, for example, like an interesting part for that is there are like a lot of like vocational training company, and those they train people to kind of like use screen reader, because screen reader is like a complicated, like if you have a Mac, do a Command F5 and try to kind of like use it, it will be crazy. And so you really need kind of like, a 2 months training kind of like for start being able to use it. And they suggest new technology and tools to make it easier.
It's 2 months training for one.
Yes.
Okay, so this speeds it up quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah. It's a bit, and even after these 2 months, you still kind of like not mastering. You kind of like somehow knows some of the shortcuts.
You spent, so Microsoft and Apple, they spent a lot of money and time into building accessibility tools for their computers. Why don't you think they, came to this solution that you came to?
Yeah, that is very interesting. Like, Apple, for example, it's been kind of like one of the leading examples for like user experience. And they have like, built-in screen reader. It's like Apple's VoiceOver. It's very hard. It's like, it's not as good as like, I wouldn't say that this is like, the top of the line product. Like, it's useful, but it's like, it's very reliant on all shortcuts. And so you need to know hundreds of commands that also interface with other. For example, when I was developing and I wanted to do the screenshots that I use for the demo, all the commands for doing screenshot on Mac completely interfere with Apple VoiceOver. It was like, how do I, and the only way it's running the screenshot through a terminal. And I was like, wow.
So what's your go-to-market now that you have this extension, and this extension effectively aggregates all the information and puts into actionable insights? How do you grow?
Yeah, so it's like voice kind of like like people kind of like suggesting others. There's like, Reddit channels like, our blinds. And I know kind of like, because my wife and friends, a lot of people, it's like have people like in their families that have this. And so we are start to kind of like have a very small set of user in private alpha and really iterate with them every week. It's like, to make this experience better, because it's such a delicate tools that if you have some bugs or something that you don't want to grow too fast until the experience is good, because a bugs there gets really into your way. And we want to make it sticky, and because that will be something that they use every day, constantly, to get their work and their life done.
And why are you the best founder to build this?
It's a good question. I've spent many years building like dev tools, and dev tools have like
Where?
Meta, Cloudflare, and other companies. Like, and one thing that's like, I really love about like, dev tools is this concept of shift left. Shift left meaning kind of like you try to kind of like surface earlier to the user, and in that case, the developer, kind of like the information instead of that having to kind of like wait long. And that is very similar to kind of like what we're doing. We're improving the workflow and kind of like by surfacing information earlier before they have to find it.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And how can people find you?
Couch, it's like the name, co.ch. We have a private...
Couch, what's the website?
co.ch.
Oh, co.co?
C-O-U.ch.
Okay, cou.ch. Got it. Thank you. Next we have is Naz from Worm, building leveraged prediction markets.
That's right. Hello.
Hello. What is the one-liner on Worm? Tell us.
Leverage for prediction markets.
And how did you come to, there's so many people building in the prediction market space. How did you come to, hey, there needs to be leverage. We're the best team to do this?
That's a real good question. So we've been building prediction markets for a year and a half. And we have started exactly before election, 2024 election. And something interesting we learned, people, they want higher returns. And we have capped upside in prediction markets. And we have talked to a lot of users, and we learned, they really need leverage, but building it is very hard. So that's why we have spent the last 6 months to build it, and we are offering leverage on prediction markets.
Actually makes a lot of sense when I talk to trenchers, degens, whoever, people who are trading on a daily basis for a living. The number one complaint that they come to is that the max upside is a 2x or whatever it might be, right? Yeah. Something small, when people have been conditioned to look for this 100x, the 1000x. So it makes a lot of sense. How do you attract those type of users?
So it's funny, just it has been organic growth so far. Whoever is using it, they just love it. They keep using it.
And what has that growth been?
We have over 1,000 active users, weekly active users, which is a very important metric for us, with less than 2 months. And it's just like we have a capped. We don't let everybody to come right now because we want to slowly ramp up the system. And yeah, the cap has been only inhibitor for us now.
How does tell me a bit about the back end of how this works. I mean, obviously, building liquidation engines and perpetuation of prediction markets. It's a very, very hard thing to do. And so I'm curious as to how is it safe for people to use, and what are some safety mechanisms you have in place?
Very good question. So we wanted to, we launched it 6 months ago, but it was not possible because there was not enough liquidity, and order books on prediction markets, they were not good. That is why the time is right now, because order books on prediction markets, they're getting better every day, both on the liquidity side and the performance side. And for us, it's very important to integrate with several different order books because of the spread, because of the liquidity. As more big players, they come and they're getting better in offering their order books, that's a huge advantage for us because now we can hedge the opposite side of the orders on different order books. And that's the crux of the problem, building really good liquidation engine.
And what are the main challenges here? You just mentioned a big part of the problem is building the liquidation side of this, or the liquidity side rather. Why have other teams not been able to do this, and why have you guys been able to?
We've been doing it for a year and a half, so that's a head start we have. We are very familiar with the limitations of the order books, prediction market order books, and probably we are the first team integrated against Polymarket and Kalshi order books. So we know very well their order books, their limitations, and the most important thing is user funds, they have to be safe. And in prediction markets, the odds are moving really fast. So the liquidation engine should work very well between different order books.
And do the big players like Polymarket, Kalshi, and so on and so forth, do they look at you as an advantageous product to the suite? Do they feel that you're increasing user retention? How do they think about it?
Actually, it's interesting because a lot of our users, they are pro traders on Polymarket. And there are pro traders on Polymarket. And this is something interesting among prediction market crowds. They know if odds are above 80%, the chances of it happening is above 95%. So there is a huge advantage here. But on 80%, there is not much return. But when they do it 5x leverage on Worm, it's 100% return within 24 hours. That's why pro traders come to our platform. And the interesting thing is like they're really using Polymarket, and they use Worm on top of Polymarket.
Like prediction markets are very competitive these days. There's a ton of products and markets, and I feel like they're all overlapping in some shape over time. And so I guess where do you see it all going? You have startups that are offering borrowing against your positions as an example. You have startups that are offering terminals that are aggregating. You have consumer-based products. You have effectively you can see prediction markets everywhere, right? So I'm curious as to where you think this all goes.
Actually, it's a growing space. I think there is room for a lot of players here. To me, it reminds me like crypto space back in 2012, 13. At the time, there were like maybe 4 or 5 exchanges, but we have a lot of exchanges after that. So the space is growing. There are going to be room for more prediction markets. But we have seen this play over and over. At the end of the day, users, they're looking for better return. And we have seen it. Leverage was a huge thing for exchanges, later on for DeFi, and now it's happening for prediction markets. It's just very early days.
And one final, why the name Worm?
Why so?
Why the name Worm?
Oh, because interesting thing is like we are like degens. We are a bunch of degens and in the trenches, and Worm sticks. We were looking for a good name that is just people, they like it and it sticks.
Like early worm or early bird gets the worm type?
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. And how can people find you?
Worm WTF. That's
Worm.WTF.
Yes.
Nas, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Malik from Deconflict.
Hello.
By the way, side note, Malik was a Secret Service agent for how many years? 15?
10 years there,
10
and
years?
I was a police officer for 13, so 22 years altogether.
Okay. You want to go?
I mean, there's so many questions.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, why you specifically to tackle this, and what is the one-liner?
Yeah, so Deconflict is a middle layer for financial crime investigations. That's the one-liner of us. Why we tackle this problem, so from my own experiences within the Secret Service, I sat across elderly people who have given their entire 401ks to scammers, right? And they're sitting there on the verge of potentially committing suicide. They worked 30 years, they got scammed, they don't know what to do. Law enforcement is always behind. So we wanted to be proactive about it. And really nothing like what we're doing exists on the market today. So what we do is we'll source the data directly from law enforcement, right? Currently, we work with about 800 plus agencies, 30 different countries. They give us the data.
What agencies specifically?
We have all the big players. We have the Secret Service, obviously, the HSI, the DHS, the FBI, the DEA, the ATF, the Interpol, the Europol, you name it, NYPD, Dallas PD, all the big players are on the platform. So once we source the data directly from them, we apply our own methodologies to it, and then we can surface those signals in real time to the financial institutions. So when a wallet hits their platform, it will send them an alert saying, hey, this wallet is under investigation by the Secret Service. That is much better than what's on the market today, which is, hey, 62% risk score. Well, banks are not stopping a 62% risk score transaction from going through. So we want to come to a hard stop. We're like, hey, let's pause, pick up the phone, call the FBI, call the DEA, whoever reported it, and confirm with them, hey, why did you report this? Let's do a little bit more extra due diligence. So when that grandma is sitting across from me, he's not going to commit suicide in the next 24, 48 hours. So it's a very massive problem. Chain analysis, people view them as one of our competitors, and we like them actually. They just released their own report. $150 billion was stolen last year. That's massive. As of this morning, Fraud Summit, the UN released their report. With AI and everything else, 400 some billion was stolen in last year. This problem is not going anywhere.
And what are the vectors of attacks? I mean, do you guys specifically focus on one or another?
No, so the good thing about our platform is because our data is coming directly from law enforcement, and when they're reporting to us, they're telling us what type of scam it was, whether it's an investment scam, pig butchering scam, romance scam, ATM scam, hijacking.
What's pig butchering?
Yeah, pig butchering, the term was actually coined out of China. It's to build a relationship with a person for certain long, to fatten them up, and then they slaughter them, and quote unquote, that's what the point, they take their money and run. And I've worked so many of these cases, and it's unbelievable. Yeah.
And, you know, based on your prior relationships is how you're actually able to build this. Like, how are you guys getting access to this data? You're working with all these different departments, FBI, CIA, whatever it might be. Why can't anybody else do this besides you guys?
Yeah, well, I think me being in law enforcement for that long, I've built that credibility. Working for the Secret Service obviously holds its own weight. So that's one. The other thing is, like, there's a huge education problem within the law enforcement community when it comes to crypto. So we take one step further. We actually bring law enforcement onto our platform. We teach them about crypto. This could be a basic crypto case all the way to something very sophisticated. And they view us as a source of truth. And they're like, hey, these are the guys, Secret Service runs it, we trust them. So that is what we have built, and that's why our product is so sticky. That's why, you know, in just 8 months since launch, we've captured 5% of the US market. We don't spend any money on marketing, it's all word of mouth, right? So that's why we believe we have really unlocked a huge pain point for not only law enforcement, but also the compliance side. When we speak with the fintechs and these big compliance companies, right now the big shortage is like, you know, one of the large banks, I'm not going to name them, but you can look them up, was fined $3 billion for having anti-money laundering on their books. Unknowingly, they were like, we didn't know it was dirty money. Yeah. We're like telling you, hey, if this money coming onto your books, is it clean or dirty? That's what we solve.
What's maybe a Secret Service lore that you could tell us? Or it could be, you know, like, what's his name? John Kirk, I forgot his name, but he's a CIA whistleblower. I'm not saying to give up any information, but like maybe something that the audience would find interesting related to crypto.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think that we just wear black suits with sunglasses and earpieces and we protect the president, which is true, but that's really half of our mission. The second mission is we don't really talk about it. It's on our website, so it's nothing secret here. We really secure the entire United States financial infrastructure. We are like behind that. Like FBI handles, of course, everything, right? They're more of a generalist agency. We're Secret Service, we're very, very particular on 2 things. One is protection, right? We're number 1 in the world. Okay. And number 2 is financial crime. I think, we're 2026. So I think just late last year, Secret Service has the largest seizure of $225 million. So a lot of people don't know about that because they just see us on TV with big limos and presidents walking. So yeah, it's a lot of people. Like even one of the founders there was like, hey, what does Secret Service really do? So yeah.
And you protected Trump, right?
So I started my career with Obama. Then when Trump got in office, I was on his intel team. And then I was for a very short time with Biden. And then just my latest before I left, I was with George Bush.
Cool. Well, Malik, thank you so much for your time. And how can people find you?
Yeah, deconflict.com, or you can look us up on Twitter, deconflict-intel.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Yep. Next up, we have Brian from Freeport.
Hey, thank you.
Good to see you, Brian.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
How was your experience, up there on stage?
I think I actually wasn't the one on stage. My co-founder was. But watching the presentation and seeing all the practice we put in, I think really paid off, seeing everyone's reaction. Yeah.
Very cool. So what's the one-liner?
The one-liner is a tradable news feed.
Okay, that can mean so many different things. So what is the specific, because we've seen, this has been attempted in a few different ways. How does what your guys doing differentiate itself from some of the other participants in this specific category?
Yeah, so when we trade the news, we mean we pull lots of information from Twitter, we pull it from Substack, Bloomberg, Reddit, and then we have a large AI context map that is able to reason over every single piece of information coming out and attach a trade if necessary. And so we use this AI layer to enable something that hasn't been done before, which is attaching a trade to the new piece of information in real time.
And how did you guys come to this specific approach for this problem? I've never, it's very new to me.
Yeah, so initially we were trying to build out a prime brokerage, just get people into good assets, park their money, and make a lot of return. And then we realized, okay, something more interesting is when people are trading more, generating volume, and active on their phone. And so we realized the most interesting way to trade is based on recent events, because that's when the biggest spikes happen. There are predicted events like earnings and other calls like that, which are pretty scripted trading events. But for example, when we bombed Iran, that's completely unscripted. And that's when volume hits an all-time high in most markets. And so we figured that would be the most interesting audience to capture.
What's interesting is that when I downloaded Freeport, over time it's become my go-to place for news.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it's interesting how you did this. But the three things I want to touch on is you're uniquely building in three spaces that are very, very interesting. One is Hyperliquid. You're building on top of Hyperliquid. Two is you're using AI, right? Three is live news. Those are very interesting sectors to kind of bring it together. And I feel like that's not something you could just do like you probably thought of, but it took you some iterations to get there. I'm curious as to why you think this is the trifecta that's going to help get you consumers, et cetera.
Yeah, so I'll answer that perfectly. So initially we started doing something like this because I personally ask my co-founder all the time, what trade should I make based on something that's happening?
Because he's a trader, right?
Yeah, he's a super smart Jane Street quant guy. I go to him for all my financial advice. You guys should too. But yeah, so I would always ask him, okay, Iran gets bombed, what do I do? And so we realized, okay, quick, jumpy little summaries of text with a trade could be cool. But then we realized, okay, if it's just a summary, there's not a lot of credibility. If it comes from a credible source like Bloomberg or a big name on Twitter, people are going to actually pay attention because they're going to wonder where the information came from if it's just a summary. And so we realized, okay, live news from direct sources has to be a key component to gain trust with people. Otherwise, our analysis doesn't have any basis. And so, yeah, after that, we realized Hyperliquid is the best place to trade on leverage, which everyone wants to do. And AI is the only way to get this done live.
What does growth look like?
Growth has been really good. We've been growing 20% day over day, which has been really good for us. And our perp whole section of the app is just now being pushed out in an update. I think it'll be out tomorrow. And so once that happens, I think our volume is just going to explode even more.
20% day over day is incredible.
Yeah.
What has been the easiest way to target these traders and bring people on? Imran mentioned this is his go-to place for news. How does that happen?
Yeah, so I think the way we target people is first we reach out to a lot of Discord communities. So by posting on Twitter, posting links, get people in the Discord, and then we just engage with the community from there. So I think personally DMing people, talking in chats actively, where people are already discussing these events is the best place to find our target customer.
Cool. How can people find you?
They can find us at Freeport Markets on the App Store and Android Store.
Brian, thank you so much.
All right, thanks, guys.
Next up, we have Flo from Bluvo. Plaid for crypto, that's right? What does that mean? Because we've heard Plaid for crypto many, many times over the years. So I'm curious as to what that means.
Yeah, so Plaid for crypto means really having a white label API to access in an aggregated way all the exchanges that allow liquidity from centralized exchanges, actually. So it's just an aggregated API, one single API to access Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, KuCoin, OKX, and all those exchanges.
How did you guys decide to start working on this?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. We had a previous company, which was a crypto trading platform, right? It was a retail, so any user can plug in his Coinbase account and see a cloud-hosted trading bot perform some trades, right? So into the implementation of this retail crypto trading platform, we noticed that the APIs of exchanges kept changing over time, right? So Coinbase releases an update, Binance does as well. So the engineering team always had to maintain those APIs in sync. So we were asking, like, is there a need for somebody that is providing an aggregated, consolidated layer to access all those centralized exchanges with just one API? And if so, which are the biggest companies that need this? Is it just crypto trading platforms, or are there other companies? And then later on, we discovered that crypto taxation is huge. Like, if you need to access in read-only for centralized exchanges to calculate taxation, this needs an aggregated layer. And another use case is for withdrawals. So if you need a way to on-ramp money into a DeFi application, you could do it with Coinbase, Binance, KuCoin, but you need this aggregated layer to implement the flow securely.
I feel like this problem should have been solved a long time ago. Why hasn't this been solved, and why are you the best team to do it?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. So we had to learn this the hard way. Essentially, centralized exchanges, as long as for today, they don't really have this interest into letting user easily take funds out from centralized exchanges, right? They would rather want their user to keep the funds in and just trade, right? Ideally. But so this is the reason why they decided to not disclose those APIs. Those APIs are private, right? And the only way you can access them most of the times is by having good partnerships with those exchanges. And how do you build those partnerships with those exchanges is by providing trading volume on their exchanges. This is why with our previous company, we had those partnerships and we had access to those APIs, so we are able to do this. And this is why also not many people are doing this. So it's a topic of having access to non-private endpoints, and yeah.
Who are some of your biggest customers?
We are live on Polymarket. We have.
So you service Polymarket right now?
We service. If you go on Polymarket and you want to deposit from centralized exchange, you're going to use our API.
That's very cool. And how can people find you?
You can find us on bluvo.dev or at the Alliance.
Cool. BLUVO.dev.
Dev, yeah.
Cool.
Dev.
Flo, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have John from Givens.
Givens, yes. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about Givens. What is the one-liner here?
We're the AI agentic staff for law firms. We're a non-crypto company.
So you're terrifying every lawyer in
That
the
is
world
right.
right now. Why you guys specifically? This is a very niche spot to build.
So maybe we got pulled into the legal tech market by a law firm. So the law firm came to us and told us that they have a use case for what we're building. And that's how we kind of entered this market. And afterwards, we realized that there's a huge market ripe for disruption, a lot of things that can be automated. And so that's why we're kind of tackling this angle here.
Is this mostly, I mean, it's interesting that you said the lawyers actually came to you asking for this solution, where you would initially think they would be the last one to even bring it up. Have you seen quite a bit of demand from the legal sector for these type of tools, and how do you actually handle going after that type of customer base?
Yeah, so I think when I say to people that we're doing legal tech, a lot of people compare us to Harvey or Legura. But then the thing is that we're kind of different because Harvey and Legura, they do legal reasoning. So they kind of enhance the lawyer's work. But what we do is we're more focused on the operational layer of it. So law firms are kind of, they comprise of 3 different layers. So admins, paralegals, and lawyers. And so they view the lawyers as revenue generating people. And then they view the paralegals and admins as cost centers. And what the law firms are now doing is about 67% of all the law firms are outsourcing these things partially to what's called ALSP, so alternative legal processing organizations. But then these are manually done. So they have manual people kind of doing these for them. But what we're going to do is we're going to kind of automate all of that using AI. And law firms are spending up to 40% of their revenue on outsourcing their operations.
What does growth look like for you guys?
So we just kind of pivoted into doing the operational part of the legal tech. And growth is kind of, we're getting a lot of interest. So we're, within just 1 month, we have 25 law firms interested in joining us. And a lot of other law firms are also interested in forming what's called an MSO with us. So MSO is like a managerial service organization. It's like, I don't know if I can say this, but it's like a loophole where non-lawyers can own law firms or effectively control the economy of a law firm. And the reason we do this is because the sales cycle for legal tech is so long right now. The AI committee is growing, and more people are joining the AI committee, and the sales cycle is now 12 months to 18 months for some legal tech companies. So what we do is we kind of outsource all of their operational layer. We acquire law firms through the MSO structure, and then we kind of force the AI adoption to the law firms.
So this is like the Thrive model, right?
I'm not familiar with
Thrive. Is one of the VC funds by Josh Kushner. and he makes investments into, at least the last startup he invested in or company invested in. He's working with OpenAI to implement OpenAI tech into startups that they invest in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, is that the approach? Because there's different approaches to this, right? Like
Yeah.
for AI startups, I've heard, somebody from one of the VC funds mentioned, the actual approach is you become the law firm, right? Some people say no, you sell to law firms and you help them operationalize and make it quicker for them to do certain tasks. But in your case, you're acquiring law firms. Is that right?
Effectively.
Effectively.
Yeah. Like we can't legally acquire law firms, but yes.
But a stake of some sort, and then by which you acquire or take some controlling ownership of law firms, you're then implementing AI tech. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. So it's really similar to the PE roll-up model.
Yes.
And a lot of the VCs, because they're getting so big right now, they don't really see ROI in just like investing in the traditional VC way. So a lot of VCs are doing AI-enabled roll-ups, like General Catalyst.
Yeah, General Catalyst is Mark from General Catalyst had a huge blog post about this as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what we're doing.
Got it.
And exploring the legal tech market.
How can people find you?
So we're at Givance, so GIVANCE.ai, or contact Imran.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Next up, we have Xavier from Prestocks. So you're telling me I can YOLO into Anthropic right now?
Yes, you can. So we have Anthropic, Anduril, SpaceX, OpenAI, Polymarket, Kalshi, hopefully some other top pre-IPO names soon. But basically, Prestocks is tokenized pre-IPO stocks currently on Solana.
Xavier, how are you guys the team that's able to do this? We've heard so much that tokenizing, private companies is probably the way that retail will get exposure to these type of products. Is it a regulatory difficulty? Is it a technical difficulty? What has been your edge in kind of solving this?
It's a very unique combination of domain knowledge that you need for this. So the pre-IPO space is actually quite a niche because not many people know how to invest into pre-IPO companies and know in depth how that works. And then the DeFi side, I've been in crypto since 2013 and building in DeFi since 2018. So the overlap of those two domain expertises is pretty rare. And so we handle the complexities of the traditional investing side, but also the distribution on the DeFi side.
This has been, they say the two of the biggest wealth generation events in basically the history of humankind have been Anthropic and OpenAI, and the public has not been able to get any exposure to it. So you guys are solving a pretty intimate issue. You said this takes a little bit of domain expertise. What is your background and how did you come to this point?
Yeah, well, I've been building in crypto for a very long time, but also I was a software engineer at Canva, and Canva is Australia's biggest pre-IPO company. From that perspective, I've seen the problem of not being able to get access. I wanted to get more access to Canva and other IPOs that were happening at the time, and I realized that there wasn't any way for me as a regular retail investor to do that. And now I've experienced the problem from the other side as well. As an accredited investor, I can invest in these names, but it's a very time-consuming process and very manual. So you have to send emails, do phone calls, do lots of paperwork, due diligence. You have to talk to multiple different brokers, and it's very, very time-consuming. And so most people do not want to do that. Even if you can get into the deals, it's very illiquid. So typically you're locked up for 6 months, and it's very hard to find a counterparty for these deals. Usually it takes 8 weeks to buy or sell.
I saw somebody was doing like a $100 million OTC, pre-IPO Anthropic thing, and there was a $16 million trade fee on top of it. Is that something that you guys see, and will this change now that it's become, offered to the public?
Yeah, so also if you try to invest in these deals, if you get in at the bare minimum, you're going to get the worst fee structure. And so actually, as you go up in size, the fees come down as well, and the amount of deals available to you go up. And so when we can secure those bigger deals, we can essentially share those savings with retail when we tokenize it. And so it's a lot better deal than any retail investor would get individually.
So I don't know if you remember, but Vlad from Robinhood announced you could buy pre-IPO stocks like OpenAI, and then Sam's put out a tweet that said, no, you can't. So I'm curious as to where you are, where we are with the regulatory framework, and more importantly, how do these private companies view tokenized stock of their own equity?
Yeah, so pre-stocks is a wrapper over the existing SPV secondary markets. So most of the pre-IPO secondary markets are done via SPVs, which are special purpose vehicles, meaning they invest in the company, but they're not direct on the cap table. So if you're direct on the cap table, the company controls, who can transfer. They can ROFR trades as well, so they can stop trades from happening. But if you're on the SPV layer, there's a lot more freedom. And so the companies themselves don't like that this is happening, but it happens anyway. And that drives the whole pre-IPO secondary market today.
And you mentioned that this is being built on Solana. It was Solana's 6th birthday yesterday. Why did you specifically pick Sol for this?
Well, Solana's culture right now is internet capital markets. So it's a whole mission. And so we're very, very aligned on that front. We're bringing traditional assets on chain. Solana also has the best distribution for retail specifically, and it's continuing to trend that way. So all the top wallets and apps are integrated with Solana. And so we are a platform neutral issuer, so we maximize our distribution through trading apps and wallets. And so Solana is a natural fit there to reach the most people.
What's next after Anthropic and OpenAI? Do you feel as if people will not trade as much anymore, or do you where's the longevity? What's the longevity of what you're building?
So there will always be big private companies because the trend is continuing to go that way. Private companies are staying private.
And is it only big private companies that you're going after, or do you want to eventually go after maybe medium tier?
We could go after medium tier, but the top 20 pre-IPO companies drive 80% of all pre-IPO volume. So there's a power law distribution. That's why we focus on the top household brand names that everyone already knows and already wants, and we just make it accessible. And if I want to trade some Anthropic tokens, where can I buy it at? So assuming the platform allows it, you can trade on Jupiter or OKX Wallet or basically your favorite crypto trading app. Cool. And how can people find you? You can find us on X at Prestocks and prestocks.com. Thank you. Thank you. Next up, we have TradeView. There you go. Tell us, what's your one-liner of what you're building?
For sure. So TradeView is a stablecoin bank for African businesses. And what we do primarily is we provide credit to businesses who trade both locally and internationally. And we also provide them rails that they need to easily deploy capital, so move money back and forth across borders at really low fees.
What does that mean exactly? So let's say, what countries are you operating in currently?
Yeah, so currently we're operating in Nigeria. That's our core operating market for now.
And so maybe give us an example of what you do in terms of, let's say I'm selling sugar. Mm-hmm. Can you walk us through a workflow of exactly what you enable?
Yeah, for sure.
Or anything else that you guys trade?
No, for sure. So I think the sugar example is a good one. So if we had a business that, for example, were supplying sugar to Coca-Cola in Europe, right? In most cases, a lot of these businesses need an upfront of capital to be able to fulfill that trade order, so that supply order. As it stands now, most of these businesses are not really able to access that capital easily and cheaply because the alternative is traditional banks. But because of their low risk profile, banks are would typically tie businesses to long due diligence cycles and costly collateral requirements. So for us at TradeView, what we do is we look for a business like that. We underwrite the trade transaction specifically. So that allows us to easily and quickly deploy capital to these businesses and to do it cheaply. Then another thing that we've done is we find that it's not just enough to receive capital. You should be able to utilize it regardless of where you're located. So we've also built in rails that allow businesses to, on the one hand, receive capital, but easily use that money across suppliers, across multiple currencies, and across borders as well. Yeah.
How did you guys discover that this was a problem, one, and two, that you were the team, uniquely enabled to solve it?
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of how we discovered that it was a problem, beyond personal experience, and I'll talk a bit about that shortly, it's actually widely known that trade finance is a huge global problem, and it just continues to grow by, I think, 30% per year. Right now, the global trade finance gap is at about $12 trillion. So for us, we find that, look, trade is becoming increasingly borderless. The volume of trade across the globe is going to grow. And as it grows, this gap in financing is going to grow as well. And so we saw that as a significant problem that needed solving, especially in Africa, where a lot of African businesses who are key drivers of this trade activity typically cannot access trade finance easily, right? And then why we realized that, we're the team to build this is just off the back of our experience. I've been building specifically in the broader global supply chain, global trade space since 2016. So I do have a deep understanding and personal experience of this dynamic of funding gaps that African businesses typically have to deal with.
I feel like there's certain countries or continents that they leapfrog. There's a leapfrogging methodology here. Say America used credit cards, then the leapfrog moment was WeChat, right, for China. And I feel like the next phase is stablecoins, or there was a precursor to this with M-Pesa. Do you see that as the driving force in growth in stablecoins in Africa?
Yes, for sure. Because, look, when you're dealing with Africa as a continent, there's so many barriers when you think about the currency, the African currencies that a lot of businesses are transacting with. Yeah. Costly FX rates, yep. Slow timelines in terms of settling. I have Naira, maybe I buy USD so I can pay a supplier in China. Yeah. If it's going through SWIFT, he's not going to receive payment until maybe 3-5 days. And so as a business, my supplier is not going to release the goods, which is in effect going to affect my trade, right? And so we're seeing a world where stablecoins sort of removes a lot of the barriers that exist that local African currencies have to deal with. And it's able to do that cheaply and speedily as well.
And in terms of growth, what does that look like?
So growth has been really good so far. In 3 months, we've grown month on month over 100%, and that really just shows a significant pull for the product that we're building, which we're quite excited about.
Where are these customers coming from? You mentioned in the Coca-Cola example over the sugar supplier. Are you guys boots on the ground looking for these type of customers? How does it work?
For sure. So we take an interesting approach because as a stablecoin bank, we're super niche in the fact that we only serve businesses who trade globally and locally. We know where they are. So it's easy for us to go to them and acquire these businesses. The second approach that we use is what we call ecosystems. So we typically go to supply chain owners who have these businesses or vendors en masse, acquire that ecosystem owner, and by effect, acquire the thousands of suppliers that they're dealing with. And the third piece for us is inbuilt network effects in our product. So what that means is for every transaction that a TradeView customer does, on the other end, the recipient, as an example, is seeing an invite that says, you know what, join TradeView. Every single touch point in a transaction, we have visibility into who those touch points are and can immediately convert them into customers. So these are the 3 ways we've looked at acquisition, essentially.
Okay, very cool. And how can people find TradeView?
So we're on X at TradeView_CO.
So that's TRADEVU.
Yes.
Cool.
For sure.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Ratio.
Hey, Michael.
Hi.
How are you feeling after the presentation?
I'm good. Good. Feeling excited.
Very good. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about it. What is the TLDR?
Yeah, so Ratio is the social trading app for prediction markets. And yeah, we're building a social layer on top of prediction markets where people can discover good traders, can follow their Ks, can be invested in their thesis, and can basically follow them in their trades.
Very cool. And your background, how did you decide, okay, look, we're going to be the ones that do this. We have the advantage. Let's go.
Yeah, so I guess me and my co-founder, we're both actually retail traders. We love to trade ourselves, maybe profitably sometimes, maybe unprofitably other times. But we realized that prediction markets have this extra level to them that makes it hard for other retail traders to enter, where you need to maybe research the markets, have a deeper understanding. And we also noticed at the same time that retail behavior in other asset classes is usually social. People find someone to believe in that has a strong thesis or maybe has proven conviction and has a track record. And we wanted to apply that same aspects to prediction markets. We saw a gap there.
Couldn't Kalshi, I mean, like, I feel like Kalshi already has some sort of social element, right? So I'm curious as to what makes your app unique?
Yeah, right. So I think Kalshi and Polymarket, they have mobile apps, which is good for, in theory, retail traders. But the thing is that retail trader takes, but it is not the main point of the app. The point of the app is discovering markets, discovering liquidity. Our app is about discovering traders and discovering their edge and their thesis.
Is this where the name Ratio comes from? Like, I'm ratioing you on this trade? And
Yeah.
what's the inspiration there?
The name, it was kind of like a few iterations. We kind of wanted to like have a kind of socially, like maybe a more modern name. And I think like a common thing in like on Twitter is like getting ratioed, right? So like you post something and someone else ratios you. So we kind of like wanted to like play on that a little bit.
I feel like there's some numbers behind your growth, right? So
Yeah.
could you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so since we launched our closed beta over a month ago, we have 400 weekly active traders who have copied 150,000 trades and have generated us $800,000 in nominal volume.
I mean, is that the meta? I mean, like, is this going to be a perpetual thing, or is this one of those alpha decaying elements where over time it just becomes normalized?
Yeah, I think it definitely has a lot of room to grow and will become the norm. If you look at how retail traders behave in any other asset class, they follow people who have strong theses, and it's a social discovery. I think like it's different than institutions, where institutions are like making their own thesis. I think retail is a lot of like seeing what other people are doing and following on that. So I think the same thing is expected to happen in prediction markets as well.
And how are you growing?
Yeah.
Like, I know you had this closed beta, you invited a bunch of folks, but it seems like there's some organic growth as well.
Yeah, so a lot of it is trader-led growth. So people come on the platform, they make P&L, and they share it with their friends. That is our main incentive for people to join. When you copy trade people, the person you're copy trading makes fees off your trade. So it's another incentive to bring good traders to the platform and pay them back. We started on Twitter actually, targeting like maybe people who are familiar with crypto, familiar with prediction markets. But we've seen this grow, and traders who actually have never traded prediction markets or don't even know how they work come to our platform and ask us, "Yo, how do these markets work? I want to start trading."
And why are you guys uniquely positioned to do this? What's your backgrounds look like?
Yeah, so I previously built professional trading tools at a unicorn finance company, and my co-founder has worked on consumer-facing infrastructure at Coinbase. We both were previously built consumer startups and grew them to hundreds of thousands of users. So we're really honed in on focusing on the viral loop and focusing on making a product that your average consumer can really get hooked on.
Cool. And how can people find you?
Yeah, so we're live on the Google Play Store and the App Store, and you can find us at ratio.u, where you can find the download link.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
And then, we have Daniel. I think we have Daniel, last one. Daniel? This is our last startup for today.
Already?
Yeah.
It happened quick.
Had a blast.
Daniel, by the way, we have the same name, so it's a good name. Tell us a little bit about
Akara.
Akara. What's the one-liner?
Yeah, so Akara enables courtside betting from home. We enable low latency sports betting, and yeah, that's what we do.
That's right. And when you were giving your presentation, it actually makes so much sense. Unless you're there in person, there is a huge amount of latency between a player getting injured, the lines changing. How are you guys approaching that specifically?
Yeah, so that latency is about 30 seconds if you're lucky, and 45 seconds if you're in a bad state, have a bad stadium, slow signals. And we approached that by having scouts courtside. We had someone sitting courtside, feeding you that information, telling you exactly what's happening in the game much quicker than any way.
So what does that mean? There's a literal human scout sitting at the game, texting you what's happening in real time. How does that work?
Essentially, without getting too into it, there's someone courtside and they're feeding that information right back to you. You can think of it essentially as texting.
How did you guys discover that this was a problem and that your team was uniquely positioned to address it?
You should give the jump story maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's two layers to this. We always thought that courtsiding kind of made sense. And it's been a thing for a while, right? Back in the day, for maybe the past 10 years, if you were sitting courtside, you could bet on live sports books and make a good amount of money. But sportsbooks realized this pretty quickly, and they kind of limited you by geography. They're like, if your GPS location is in this stadium, you can't bet. But Kalshi and Polymarket didn't have that limitation. They can't really make that extension because, well, they're open futures exchanges. So that became a big trend in my friend group maybe a year ago. And I decided to test it out. We made a lot of money. And then the first thought we had was, how do we scale this? Into the story that Imran was just talking about, actually in this Alliance office here, go join Alliance, you meet super cool people. The founder of Jump Trading, Bill, stopped by and had a conversation with us. He said, yeah, I mean, we're getting killed by these courtsiders, right? My own guys are going to these games and we're losing money to them courtsiding, right? They have more edge than us. And we said, okay, we really can make this a big thing because if the market maker is complaining about it, then it's probably a real issue. And that's how we decided to build Akra.
Awesome. How can people find out about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're on Twitter at Akra Markets. You can join our waitlist for our app. And we'd love to see you guys trading.
And one more thing. Why are you the team that's uniquely positioned to build here?
So I have a background in traditional finance. I traded at a bank and engineered at Palantir. My co-founder Justin, a CS grad at MIT, and also was an engineer at Bloomberg and Jane Street. And our third co-founder Sanu, well, he's just the smartest guy I know. So the three of us hopefully can take this on.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
Next we have, that concludes our founders interviews. And we're going to invite a few investors to just discuss what they thought about the demo day. First, we have Matthew from Foundation, who was one of the, I guess, first investors in Solana, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of lore there. How did you feel about the demo day today? Obviously, if you think about the negative externalities on Twitter, people are saying, crypto's over, there's no new startups, it's all about AI. You're seeing a part of the crypto group kind of migrating into that space. So I'm curious as to you as an investor, how do you feel about crypto? How do you feel about the demo day? And where do you see this all going?
Yeah, I guess, first of all, thanks for having me here. This was awesome, getting to see all the demos. I think 18 teams had demos today. All of them were amazing, and really excited to talk to more of them later in the week and schedule some calls. But I think everyone's just seeing the crazy valuations in AI, making a lot of money, kind of like similar to 21 cycle here in crypto. And I think we got way too ahead of our skis almost, I think, last year, and we're really excited, and so much promises right with the new administration. And I think it's just longer game, some patience here. I think is really going to reward everybody involved. And I mean, you're seeing so many institutions come and build a lot of career pages, hiring for digital asset teams, which is the crypto team, right, at these big institutions. So I think patience and just we're about to see so much equities on chain and just the discourse around hyperliquid perp volume on the oil crude futures is insane. Bloomberg can't stop reporting about it. So I think we're just a little patience here is all we need, and we're going to be rewarded for it.
Cool.
They say whether or not it's a bear market, I will leave that up to the viewers to decide. But they do say that in times of downtrend or when things are a little bit more quiet, that the most promising companies tend to get started and really start to gain product market fit. From the investor side, is this the time where you guys look, we got to lock in? The best people are here, and let's get our magnifying glass out, or do you guys get a little bit more apprehensive?
Yeah, I think it really, really rewards us because you can be patient deals don't close in 30 seconds, and you can kind of really pick and choose where you really want to spend your time. You also have a lot more time to think, which really helps. And so really focusing on like what areas you really want to focus and what you think the next bull market. And the bull market things just get crazy. Grounds close really fast. A lot of FOMO happens, and like a certain meta might pop up, and kind of like the perp deck scene. And like who knows, we saw like a lot of like other perp dexes come in and try to battle Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid's now come back into being the dominant winner, and so like that probably will happen again because perp dexes make a lot of money, and we want to speculate in the industry. And so, yeah, I think the biggest thing is just a lot more time for us to make better educated decisions.
Awesome. And where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Nay the Force be with you. Big of a little bit of a Star Wars fan, and also foundationcapital.com.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, we have one more founder. I think you were too busy talking to investors, huh? Srinath from Hadron. Great. One-liner, what you're building.
Hadron is proprietary AMMs as a service. So anyone, any team, market maker can go spin up a prop AMM in 30 seconds and start trading instantly.
What does that mean?
So if you're a team,
Prop AMMs are, that's become the new meta. But I mean, it's really, from a back-end infrastructure perspective, it's not much different, right? It's just how you get the order flow. So yeah, maybe talk a bit about that.
Sure, yeah. So right now, if you wanted to go run a prop AMM, which is, you can think of it as market making strategy that you put onto a contract, you'd have to go build it from scratch, get it audited, go do all the BD integrations, and it'll take you 6 to 8 months before you see any order flow. But with Hadron, in 10 minutes, you can go live, start getting orders, and market make either your own asset or another asset that you're excited about.
Background. How did you guys come to this? And specifically, why are you the team to solve it?
Yeah, so before this, I used to work at the Solana Foundation, and I was working on a lot of tokenized IPOs and things like that. And so when we realized, okay, the regulatory side of this is going to be solved eventually, and we have the right administration and things in place, we still needed the right market structure, right? And my co-founder and I were also just market making on chain to understand, okay, what do we need for this to be future-proof? And it's funny now because I think props have made for a better market structure than TradFi or centralized exchanges where spreads are tighter, right? So all UCC spreads are tighter on Solana than any other centralized exchange. And so when we saw props were able to do this, we said, okay, we should make a prop. And we realized it takes forever to make this and actually get going. And that's not the thing that decides whether you make money or don't. So we said, okay, let's build the machine that builds the machine. And that's what Hadron is.
And how have you guys approached growth?
Yeah, so right now, a lot of the interest that we got was from teams that say, we're doing some type of real world asset. So if you were, say, tokenizing gold on chain, and gold is an asset that has $3 trillion in liquidity off chain, but you have $5 million in LP capital, how do you sensibly trade that type of asset with that amount of liquidity? And with us, we let you tie it to whatever your off-chain cost basis is very easily. You can just give me an endpoint, and we will keep updating that so your AMM keeps quoting at that price. And then you tell us, okay, we want the shape of the curve to look like this to match, how many marginal dollars moves the price in the gold market. And we let you encode all of that into a contract instantly. So instead of going to a Uniswap style contract, you can use us because you also get the DeFi composability immediately. So your lending liquidation can happen through us. Your users can trade through us.
Cool, and how can people find you?
We're at Hadron_Fi. You can find us on Twitter. You can find our Telegrams there as well. If you want to try setting up a pool, send us a message. We'll help you get going.
Cool, thank you so much.
Awesome, thanks guys.
And we have one more.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Luca.
What's going on?
Superbank.
That's right.
What's the one-liner, what you're building?
We solved the problem of pre-funding for fintechs and stablecoin companies.
What does that mean exactly for viewers who are watching?
Sure. So if basically what's happening is that if I owe you $100 and you're, let's say, in Europe and I'm here, that money's going to take 3 days to arrive.
And, if I use what, Western Union? Or?
If you use Western Union, if you use like your Chase account or whatever it may be, and what we basically do is we place the money in Europe so that we can give you the money immediately while in the background the money's processing and it's going to take 1 to 3 days to process. So all these fintechs that are saying instant settlement, I can get paid instantly, instant, whatever that may be, the only way they can do that is if you actually pre-fund the customer account.
Okay.
And so we provide the liquidity for that.
Got it. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
What is your background?
My background is in fintech, actually. I founded a neobank back in 2016. I was 22 years old, fell in love with N26's KYC, if you guys are familiar with N26. And what we did is we focused on small businesses. And we built one of Europe's largest neobanks called Penta. We acquired 60,000 small businesses in Germany, roughly 7 to 10% of the whole German market. And we sold the company in 2022 to Konto.
And the network you built doing that, you feel is directly kind of interoperable here, at least lending itself towards this type of business that you're building now with Superbank?
Yeah, so I mean, I look at software as a commodity. So a lot of the companies being built are just commoditizing themselves. Really, any 15-year-old can now just launch Cloud. And the only moat you can really have is something that is hard to replicate. And the way I look at that is essentially capital. So if you have capital, A, you have an unfair advantage compared to others. If you're building software, then you don't, and you're going to be paying a super high CAC. So essentially, the way we're looking at the market is that if we have capital as a moat and we're solving a problem that essentially everybody needs, that puts us in a strong position.
And in terms of growth, I mean, how do you guys approach it? It's such a, I mean, this is a difficult business.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you need to be able to meet your whole network and your whole pipeline within your Telegram. So everybody that we're essentially talking to now is coming from the nice folks at Alliance, or
yeah, I think you've hit up every fintech stablecoin startup in Alliance
you have
because
to be
they all
aggressive.
reached out to me.
Yeah, you have to be aggressive about it. So how bad do you want it? So,
well, so what made you chew glass again? I mean, you sold your last startup for 250 million. Why did you want to restart and start a new startup again?
So believe it or not, when you don't work at the age of 31, 32, you get bored as fuck. So I basically didn't know what to do with myself for about a year. I started a healthcare company right after Penta, actually, focused on curing autoimmune conditions using big data. That company didn't work out, raised 10 million, served 3,000 patients. But then I took a year off thinking, what do I do with my life? And at some point, I became really bored, and I was like, I need to do something. And so I found Alliance, and I was like, this is going to be my inspiration for what I do next. So.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy that story. I mean, it's one of those things where sometimes you just got to take a step back and figure out, and take as much time as you need, right? And I feel like founders don't do that enough. So, cool. Luca, thank you so much for your time. And how can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter X, Luca, IVICEV. That's my Twitter, so hit me up.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Danny from Inflow.
Hi, guys.
Hey, you're from Paris, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. Maybe talk a bit about what you're building.
So we are building InflowPay. It's a payment platform, like a Stripe for cross-border SMBs.
Okay, so what does that mean?
It means that like you can be a business from anywhere, US, Europe, Middle East, Asia, Africa. And what we are doing is helping those businesses to collect card payments in any region. So you don't need to, for instance, open up a local entity in US to have to collect card payments there. You just need to sell, and we're taking care of the rest. So card collection, cross-border payments, payouts to your suppliers, anything.
Danny, how are you finding the customer base, the people that are looking for this type of service? What do you guys do for growth?
Actually, we're like when we start in September, so enabling card payments for businesses, we were focused on specific verticals. So, for instance, e-commerce, but also underserved businesses like Discord business, reselling tickets, going to those community and like talking to them, talking to their problem, because incumbents don't really accept those new business. And from 1, 2, 3, they're talking to each other. And they're coming back themselves. So we had like a pretty big growth on those specific, verticals, and also like agencies also. So just finding people that doing cross-border payments, that have a clientele that are quite everywhere, and that thought like that maybe Stripe is global, but that not really when you are in certain market. So that's how we focus on.
And what does that growth look like in terms of numbers?
So since September, we're doing 100% month-over-month growth, and through with word of mouth. So businesses talking to other businesses to say, yeah, you need to use Inflow. So it's pretty crazy, yeah.
and again, complex business, a lot of moving parts. Why are you the team that specifically, like, what about you guys is advantageous among all the other teams doing cross-border, this, that, and the third?
I think that first off, we more focus on the business. You know, like in payments, a lot of people are focused more on the infrastructure. That is just a play of going as low in fees as possible. Us, we're proposing to a business to just have a distribution to any clientele, because now they can collect payments first off with cards without the need of having an LLC entity.
So you're heavy on sales, you're approaching these businesses, kind of boots on the ground, look, we can do this for you.
Yeah, and also, you know, you have use cases like e-commerce. You know, they're creating an LLC in the US, but afterwards what they do? They need to have a Wise account or any type of account to send the money to their suppliers in China or Hong Kong. So having this opportunity of having one account where you can collect payments, then send across border, and without, you know, anything else to do, it's really like a great like opportunity for those business.
What did you do before this?
So before on my side, I was a founding software engineer at a MPC wallet startup. And just before I worked with the state of France on decentralized ID.
How are you feeling right now? How do you feel after the demo day, the pitches, talking to investors?
I would say that like a lot of people like now knows about stablecoins. Everyone talking about stablecoins, what we can do with it. But I feel like that there is a big opportunity in the other side, like card acquisition, card collection, compared to, you know, there's a lot of people that offering infrastructure, like Superbank and others, where we can offer even more to businesses, like any type of businesses, and now with the AI age. So I think that it's really nice. It's a big opportunity right now.
Danny, thank you so much for your time. And how can people find you?
So you can find me on Twitter, Prince Dan, so easy.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Thanks to you, bye.
All right, this is our final founder, Lucent, right? Julian? This one is one of the most interesting startups within Alliance. You tokenize life sciences. What does that mean exactly? So can I like buy peptide tokens? Is that like, I'm curious as to what you're thinking about.
So eventually we'd like to offer thematic products like that. What we're working on now is effectively tokenizing financial proceeds for early stage drug assets. So think of like you're a biopharma startup and you're developing a drug. Right now, you could invest in company equity, although you have to have like a lot of network and no startup founders. So what we're doing is basically taking the drug you're developing, tokenizing it, and allowing you to invest in that asset. It's effectively a high risk, high reward investment, right? So if you think of an early stage drug, it might end up being the next Ozempic and be a 1,000x investment. It might go to zero. We think that type of like high risk, high reward play appeals to a certain type of, not necessarily every retail trader, but there's a pretty active community of traders who will buy biopharma equities, and we think that a lot of those folks want exposure to earlier stage, higher upside bets.
You know, in your presentation, you mentioned your background and how you have a network that allows you to even do. This is not something that any random person can just pick up and do. So what are the, just a little bit about the background. How did you get the ability to do this?
I co-founded a company called Canvas Medical, basically a healthcare data infrastructure play. My co-founder Kit started Formation Bio, which is a multi-billion-dollar biopharma business. So we've worked in healthcare and data, and then on the crypto side, I don't always say this, but I got in as a retail degen. Like I spent a few years trading crypto, and as a retail trader, you're kind of like, yeah, this is fun, but it's purely speculative. And so the impetus for this was basically me noticing, what crypto's really good at is capital formation. Like I'm just buying, these coins just to flip them, right? But there's actually a lot of power here in capital formation, and we can use that on the industry that we know well and have worked in for, over a decade, right, which is biopharma.
They've been talking about Ozempic on-chain for the last 6 months, so I guess it's finally going to be possible. How are you guys approaching growth? How do you find the different labs that are, need funding for these specific compounds? How does that work?
So we have an active network of biopharma founders. Like, January I was out at the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference in San Francisco talking with folks. We think there's a lot of high quality companies that are interested in funding. And for me, I think any new tokenization effort, I basically have one question, and that is adverse selection.
right, and that's the question I would have for us too, which is basically, well, if companies are raising with you guys, aren't you going to get like worse companies? Because the good ones are going to be able to raise through traditional channels. And the cool thing about what we're doing is we're actually offering a novel capital formation structure where this is not just representing equity, you know, in a tokenized fashion, it's actually representing the financial proceeds for a drug asset. So the companies that we work with, they've raised oversubscribed VC rounds in the past. They can go out to traditional channels. Tokenization actually offers them a better fundraising structure, and that's why they're working with us.
So where do the returns come from? So you're saying you're tokenizing the financial returns of these specific, you know, verticals. Is it directly back to the buyer of the token? How does that work?
So basically, you could think it varies depending on the specific asset, but in general, at the stage that we're funding, it is a startup that's developing a drug and doing research on it. The proceeds don't come as much from like the drug's actually out on the market and it's getting sales. It's more like, you know, Pfizer buys that for like $100 million, right? So it's like you put in, like a lot of these startups, maybe you put in $5 million to do R&D, and then you get a return of, you know, 80 million if it's successful, right? And then Pfizer will do like $200 million of clinical trials to bring it to market. So that's where the return comes in. And, you know, it is a high risk, high reward investment, right? I think eventually our goal is to be the platform of choice for investors to buy biopharma exposure at various stages, not just the early stage, but also later stage. Right now we're focused on early stage because we think that's kind of the most interesting to offer a novel capital formation product.
You're telling me in my Phantom wallet, I can just swap into the newest version of, you know, whatever it might be.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the challenge, and I don't want to sugarcoat this, is basically, and I think this is true for a lot of tokenization efforts, there is this divide between the permissionless token, right? Like as a retail trader, I just want to buy a token, I want to see how it does, and kind of a legit biopharma company, most of them are going to be somewhat skeptical, honestly, of just having like some permissionless crypto asset that represents a stake in their company, right? We think the regulatory environment has shifted where you can actually offer the best of both worlds. You can have a token that is legit enough and is actually representing a financial stake in the company, but trades like a permissionless crypto asset. That wasn't possible a few years ago, right? But it's a tough problem because what you don't want to do is have someone buying a token that they think represents a meaningful financial interest, but is actually just like a meme coin, essentially.
So that was going to be my next question. There's different opinions on whether or not the platform has a responsibility to protect the traders. Some feel they do, some they don't. They may handle it with verification or this, whatever it might be. Do these different labs just basically tokenize this thing and it's live, or they have to go through you? There's a process, due diligence.
Yeah, it's a due diligence process. I think a lot of it comes back to the adverse selection thing I mentioned. I think ultimately, I mean, crypto loves the narrative of like decentralization and launch pads, but to me, like a lot of investing is about, do you trust this platform? Do you trust the people on this platform? Right, so we're not a launch pad where anyone can go and launch some like peptide token. We think that might be a better way to generate near-term retail volume. We want to have assets that we feel good about, that are high quality, because we think people coming to our platform, ultimately it's going to be like, I trust Lucent. I trust these guys not to list total crap, right? And so we're not going to invest, like we're not going to list everyone who wants to list, right? We want to invest in companies that we actually believe in. And Kit and I, as biopharma founders and veterans, would invest in ourselves.
How are you feeling?
Good. Yeah, it's been fun to hear from different companies. I think Alliance has been awesome for us just because, like, we don't come from crypto. Again, I've traded, but for us, like this is self-serving, but I'm really bullish on the idea of people coming from other industries and using tokenization to basically make their industry better, right? And that's the vision we have. And so working with Alliance, who has the crypto expertise, has been really awesome. And it's been great to meet everyone in the room today.
Awesome. And how can people find you?
So I'm on Twitter, Julian Malinak, trying to tweet more a little bit. Yeah, reach out there.
And website? Do you have a website?
Yeah, it's uselucent.io. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Leap, how are you feeling? I think that was the end of all of our founders.
That was the end of part one. We have 400 more founders coming. No.
I mean, obviously, this is your first kind of. I think you're one of the, outside of Thread guy. You're the only other founder or person outside of Alliance that kind of saw the back end view of how the demo day is happening. You came yesterday. You sat down. You saw how founders were practicing their pitches. How did this all feel to you? Or like, what were the emotions that were coming around? Because I felt like you were taking a lot in. So.
Yeah, I think, my background is not traditional, so I've never seen anything like this, even close to it, right? I think I've been to SF one time, all of these things I basically just experienced third person through X, on Twitter and social media. So to be able to see it in person, to see we were chatting about it before, like the pre-speech jitters, the pre-pitch jitters, people really just, even the interactions between the founders, dapping each other up, really just getting excited, listening to each other's pitches. I mean, I wasn't here super late, but I stayed, a decent amount of time. And even when I left last night, I mean, people are still just going every single word, preparing, making sure that their work, properly reflects the effort that they're putting in. I will say, I mean, it is the coolest thing in the world. I mean, it is a whole different beast. I think from a retail perspective, as a participant on X on the timeline, we're so judgmental to founders, to builders, and just it is hard to understand the intimate, raw emotion that goes into everything that happens before that product even gets to before the ability for you to even swap into Ozempic on chain or whatever it might be. So, yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Of the startups that you've heard so far, what were some of the what are some ideas or trends that stood out to you?
Actually, my thought around even how specific ideas are turned into startups fundamentally shifted just even listening to these pitches and hearing the founders talk. Like, what makes a good idea, when there's PMF, when there isn't. I think in terms of the ones that I heard, I mean, they're all phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, the really interesting stuff is like the CIA, FBI agent who's Palantir for financial crime. And when, even thinking, how do you even begin starting that type of business? You need to have the expertise, the relationship, the network. So that's super cool. And he also had just like a decent amount of aura to him, so that was cool. And then the tokenizing the drugs.
Yeah,
I think that's. I think that's like one of the grail ideas that people have been theorizing. Like, is this even possible for the last 10 years? And we've seen DeSci and different iterations of it, but they have the network to actually do it. It's a whole different game.
Yeah, and I'd say over the past ever since October, I feel as if crypto sentiment has shifted, and it's shifted pretty negatively. Obviously, I guess there's two sides to this, right? You have TradFi, that's, you're seeing a lot of positive developments, but on the consumer or retail or on Twitter side, it seems very negative. I don't know if it's because there's just market conditions, but I feel like it's pretty binary from that perspective. And people really think that was the last cycle, or they think that crypto isn't at the sector as it once was because AI is taking over the limelight. But, me personally, even though the sentiment is there, I am more bullish in crypto than ever. I do think stablecoins has fundamentally become the driving force for change across all of fintech and more broadly across all of the larger companies. I mean, even in fact, like seeing Facebook integrate stablecoins within WhatsApp, to me is a large positive step function. I do think over time, where we are as an industry is that we're maturing as an asset class. A lot of fun experimental stuff didn't work out, but the things that did work are the ones that are going to drive the next fundamental change. And then I do think over time, all the stuff that worked previously will come back into rotation. That's just one of my hot takes that I have, is that I think we just need more time to mature as a sector.
And I think that could be said about humans in general. For me, myself, I am not the person that I was when I was 18, and I don't think crypto is the thing that it was when it was, a younger iteration of itself. And the things that have been sticky, stablecoin, prediction markets, whatever it might be, I mean, it is now their moment to flourish and really have the limelight. Like when we were even talking to the gentleman from Foundation, they said this is the time when investors can actually take a step back and be patient with the right type of companies, the right type of deals. And I think it really is the best time to build. And if you do feel pessimistic, like I typically wake up in the morning and be like, what is going on? The best advice would be touch grass, and it does not feel pessimistic in that room. It feels like we're just getting started.
And that's how we're going to end it. Thank you guys for catching the stream. If you're a founder, apply to alliance.xyz. Otherwise, we'll catch you next demo day.
Thanks, guys.
Hey yo, I just want to say shout out to my red bike. It got stolen about a year ago, and I think about you every day. But you know, now I got a blue bike, and it's not the same, but it's a new life, a new journey. So rest in pedals, red bike, I love you. I like to bask in the tropics with a flask in my pocket. If you acting no brolic, I'll start laughing and mocking like a charismatic parrot that isn't comic. Now I'm feeling like the shit, cause I'm rapping with phonics. Loose off of Jen Ricky's, perusing Sin City, riding my Schwinn smooth like the swing of Ken Griffin. And the felt of the velvet, I said hell with a helmet. I can tell that you're jealous of the smell of the shellfish. Don't tell me I need a haircut. You can't walk a mile in my shoes cause I'm barefoot. Boss taking the toke, God's making the joke. With a Mickey Man or rookie card, close pinned to my spoke. I'm partying with the dead like Dia de los Muertos. In a singing mood, the drinking booze like a bomb. Someone stole my red bike, so I bought a blue one. I was sad, but fuck it, I got a new one. Chasing rum with the juice of a plum. In a singing mood, the drinking booze like a bomb. Someone stole my red bike, so I bought a blue one. I was sad, but fuck it, I got a new one. I wanna live in Bolivia, be oblivious. I'm sick of always having to deal with these idiots. The ignorance is ubiquitous and it's hideous. When I get lucky, that's when I'm the wittiest. When people don't leave me alone, that's the shittiest. When people leave their phone at home, that's the prettiest. Going on a hike shouldn't be considered hippie shit. It's okay to spend some days away from your affiliates. Mother Nature's where I'm planting my seed. Do a dance in the breeze on the branch of a tree. I reside in my mind, that's the land of the free. I got the world in my palm, you should hand it to me. I can't copy and steal cause I got art etiquette. Sometimes I think that everyone's my arch nemesis. I've come to the conclusion my bike is my best friend. My worst enemies tend to be dead ends. In the sun chasing rum with the juice of a plum. In a singing mood, the drinking booze like a bomb. Someone stole my red bike, so I bought a blue one. I was sad, but fuck it, I got a new one. Chasing rum with the juice of a plum. In a singing mood, the drinking booze like a bomb. Someone stole my red bike, so I bought a blue one. I was sad, but fuck it, I got a new one.
I got a new thing, yeah. I hope that it's alright with you. With you, with you. I told my girl I got a new thing, yeah. I hope that it's alright with you. With you, with you. Hey yo, someone stole my red bike, so I bought a blue one. If I see that fucker riding it, then I'ma sue one. Got rich, then I blew up, got everyone in my crew one. Ride for my